Hi everyone, I'm Meredith and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so excited that you found me, and if you're returning, I'm so grateful you've decided to come back and watch more. I am usually all about all things luxury, but today I am doing a 3-year update on my gastric sleeve surgery. So I had gastric sleeve surgery 3 years ago in about 6 weeks. So I'm about 6 weeks off 3 years, but by the time I hit the actual 3-year mark, I'll be well into recording for Collectionmas, and then we hit December and Christmas, and so yes, I just thought I'd do it 6 weeks early, but I am 3 years post-surgery. So a lot of you have asked, who generally watch my channel, how I'm going. You've been watching me over on Instagram, and the photos I've been posting, you're saying you're looking really good, which I appreciate. It's always lovely to hear. But I thought it was time to do an update and let you know how I've been going since I had the surgery, struggles I've had, suggestions I have, and future goals really. So I guess the most important thing to start with are the statistics and the things that most people will be interested in if you are looking at this kind of surgery or somewhere in your weight loss journey and you're just doing research. So the statistics are generally what people are most interested in. So I will link my original video down below, which is all about the surgery I had, how that surgery went, my preparation for that surgery, and how I was going at that point. And I think I did that video probably about a year after I had my gastric sleeve surgery, and this is 2 years post that. So yeah, that'll be linked down below in case you want to watch what that's like, and it gave a really good insight into the Australian medical system and how gastric sleeve works in Australia, because it's very different to the US, which is when I found I was doing my research for my gastric sleeve surgery. I found that a lot of the information I had to reference was American based, and I struggled to find Australian based content, so that'll be linked down below for you. So my starting weight when I first decided it was time to have gastric sleeve, so my highest weight I have ever weighed, and that was that point, was 111 kilos, and I'll do all the conversions for you. So 111 kilos, 17.48 stone for those of you in the UK, and 244.7 pounds. So that was how much I was at my highest weight. And yeah, and here's a photo of me at my highest weight. So a lot of people see this photo and go, looks nothing like you. And yes, it's funny, I most certainly recognize the person in that photo, and in a lot of ways I still see the person who's in those photos, and I'll talk about that a little bit further into the video, but I acknowledge that it looks very different to how I look now, but that was me at 111 kilos. So my current weight, and I have weighed myself this morning because weight isn't something I focus on as much anymore, and I will also talk about that, but I have weighed myself this morning, and I've taken photos of myself this morning, so everything is current as of today. So my current weight today is 60 kilos flat, so I am exactly 60 kilos this morning, which is 9 stone 6 and 132.3 pounds. So for those doing the math on that, I have lost a total of 51 kilos, or 8 stone, or 112.4 pounds, which is a decent amount of weight, I want to say. So yeah, in 3 years, 51 kilos gone is pretty big. I won't lie, and like I said, I don't weigh myself often anymore, and that is no longer my focus. The number on the scale is no longer my focus. However, when I got on the scales, I will admit I would have given anything to just have hit 59, because I have never weighed in the 50s in my adult life. And I will also say I would have loved to have said that I had lost 55 kilos so that then I had lost half my body weight. But they're just numbers, and that's just it's an unreasonable thought in your head to go, oh, can I just be a kilo lighter so that I can say I weigh in the 50s? Does it matter? It really doesn't. And does it matter if I can say that I weigh half my body weight? No, it really doesn't, because 51 kilos is something to be celebrated in and of itself. And they're just numbers, and they don't have any meaning to anyone, not even me or a medical professional. So yeah. I am also now in a healthy weight range, and right in the middle of a healthy weight range for a BMI scale, although I believe the BMI scale is absolute crap, and doesn't really mean much because it is based wholly and solely on weight and not on muscle. So like bodybuilders who are quite fit would be considered obese because their muscle weighs more than fat does. So on a BMI scale, it doesn't really tell you much. But on a BMI scale, which my doctors care about, I am most certainly right in the middle of a healthy weight range now. So that's great. So I'm really proud of the 51 kilo loss. I really am. And that's over a 3-year period. But it didn't just start here and go to here on this like really smooth trajectory, like from one to the other. It wasn't all rainbows and sunshines and unicorn. Like, it wasn't easy all the time. And that will be surprising for some people who might be in the very early stages after their gastric sleeve surgery, and it's a really easy journey at the moment, but it won't always be like that. So I've most certainly had a lot of struggles that have gone along with having this surgery and the associated weight loss with that. So some of the struggles that I've had over the last 3 years include mental health. Mental health is always a thing, and my mental health is not just dependent on my weight, it is also dependent on the amount of stress that I experience at work. I have 2 small children, I have family life. Like, these are all normal stresses that people have in their lives. You can't get rid of them, they're not going anywhere. But in addition to those normal mental health issues that most people experience, I have also experienced mental health issues around this weight loss and this surgery that I've had, and that extends to body dysmorphia. So in fact, just before I walked in to film this, I put this jacket on, which I haven't worn in a long time, and I said to my husband, I see how much weight I've lost when I put this jacket on. And he's like, do you not always see it? And I said, no, I don't. I still see myself in my head as the 111 kilo person. That's the picture of me I have in my head when I see myself. So I will often catch myself in like shop windows as I'm walking past, like a reflection of myself, and I'll be like, oh, that's right, I'm not that big anymore. Like, I'm actually quite thin now. Oh, and it's very much a disconnect in your head between what you see in a reflection versus what you see inside your head. And because of that, things like going and buying clothes will often be something that you really need to think about, because you will automatically, if the shop assistant comes up to you and says, what size do you need? I will still say things like, oh, I'm probably going to be like a 12 or a 14, but I have to stop myself because I know I'm not that size. So at the moment, for reference, I'm probably Australian size 8. I might be a 10 in some things, because it really in Australia depends on shape, not just size, when you're a woman, as to what you're buying. So that particular cut of clothing you might need in a bigger size because you're an hourglass versus somebody who's straight up and down. Whole different conversation around women's clothing sizes that should be addressed, but we're not going to do it here. So yeah, it's just that thing. Or you will automatically go, oh, maybe I'll buy this in a size up because I'm probably going to put weight on again, because you always think you're going to put weight on again. You are you are pre-programmed to think that you're going to fail at this, because you always have. For most of us who go into something as extreme as gastric sleeve surgery, you have tried and failed to lose weight probably most, if not all, of your life. You have been up and down. You have worked your guts out to get to a very small size, and then you realize how much hard work that was, and it's not sustainable, so you bounce back again, and you're up and you're down and you're up and you're down. And if you're anything like me, you would have everything in your wardrobe within a 4 or 5 size range, because you didn't know what size you were going to be, and you were bounced around all over the place, and you probably had a bag of clothes, which I call haute couture, because I hope to fit into it again, up in the wardrobe somewhere of the tiniest clothes you've ever owned, and maybe you'll get back into them one day. So it's really reconciling in your head what size you are now, and trying to get that picture in your head of yourself to change. And 3 years in, and I haven't been able to do it yet. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it, but it really is a mental health thing around how you see yourself. You've also got to really reconcile, for the first time, especially straight after that surgery, that first year to 18 months, losing weight without trying. Because that's never been a reality for you. If you've gone to the extremes of having this surgery, like I said, you've been up and down your whole life. And anytime you have lost weight, you've really had to work for it. And I mean, really had to work for it. So those first 12 to 18 months after the surgery, when your body is just dropping weight rapidly and you're not doing anything, you're not thinking about it. Food really probably isn't even in your head. And you're just eating as much as your stomach allows, which is not much. And you're dropping weight, and your head is really having a hard time with this. Your brain doesn't compute that you're not hungry, but what you're eating is resulting in you losing weight, but you're not putting any effort in. It's such a strange thing for somebody who has been so overweight or fought their weight for most of their life or all of their life, to suddenly be dropping weight without thinking about it. So that's very much something that is hard to reconcile in your own head. And you've really got to get to the point where you're comfortable with not trying to lose weight in those early stages. You will again, you'll have to click in at some point and change and really think about the food that you're eating. But in those first 12 to 18 months, it was hard to get my head around getting on the scale, and I've dropped 2 kilos in a week, and I didn't do anything. I didn't do any exercise, and that'll be something that I address down the track. I didn't do any exercise. I wasn't thinking about food in any capacity. I wasn't counting my calories. I was making sure I was getting enough protein, enough water. But yeah, it was really strange for me. Other struggles, and this is a really superficial one, but the costs associated with new clothes and the changing shape of your body. So I blew through sizes very early on after my surgery, and it was constant. And I got to the point where I just wouldn't buy the next size down. I would wait because it would just be constant. I've got to buy new clothes. I've got to buy new clothes. So I would be in things that look like sacks on me just to kind of get me through, and hopefully I could jump a size and not have to buy as much. Even underwear, like the constantness of buying new underwear all the time because they were too big for you. So it is expensive on the other side to continually buy new clothes in smaller sizes. If you can thrift, then thrift. If you can make things work for longer, then make things work for longer. If you can get hand-me-downs from smaller friends, and that's really handy as well. But yeah, it was certainly a costly thing to go through, the constant changing of sizes. So really important things to remember, and things that I've struggled with, and the reason that my weight just didn't go like this. I kind of went down, and then I went down, and then I went back up again, and then I've gone down again. And that's because this surgery does not change external impacts on your life. And most importantly, and the thing that I think most people forget, the most important thing it does not change is your genetics and your body's basic physiology. It does not change those things. Gastric sleeve surgery removed 80% of my stomach, and then sleeved the remaining 20% of it. So it can only take so much food. However, the way my body digests food and deals with food and processes food has not changed. So, for example, I am someone who is predisposed to take a carbohydrate and store it and to make it into insulin and sugar. So I've been pre-diabetic a lot of my life. So my body sees a carbohydrate and goes, awesome, we're going to store that as an energy source. I love carbohydrates. They're my favorite thing. Hot chips, anything potato, bread, pasta, love it all. But I have often joked, I can look at a carbohydrate and put 5 kilos on. And while I joke about it, it's really not that far from the truth. Like, seriously, I love a carbohydrate. My body loves a carbohydrate, but it holds onto it for dear life. So I will automatically stack on weight. My endocrinologist explained to me when I was pregnant with my daughter that I come from a long line of people who went out into the field and plowed fields all day. So their bodies would take the carb heavy based food and store it because they needed that energy during the day to plow fields. I don't plow fields. I sit behind a computer most of my day. I am very much in a role where I don't get a lot of movement. So my body is still storing all these energy sources, but it doesn't need those energy sources. So then I just end up with weight gain. Nothing about that has changed from this surgery. If I push my body, if I push my stomach to only eat carbohydrates constantly, I will still put on weight. It's that simple. I cannot change my genetics and I cannot change my physiology. It's just who I am. So I can't eat as many carbohydrates as I used to because I can't physically get them into my stomach. But I can certainly eat small amounts throughout the day and go well and truly over the amount of calories I should be eating in a day. And they could be all carbohydrates and I will absolutely still put on weight. I don't believe I could ever get back up to 111 kilos. I don't think I could ever actually get that much food into my day with my stomach the way it is. But having said that, if I snacked constantly, if I ate constantly throughout the day, small amounts constantly, I might be able to do that. But obviously that's not a goal. But I don't know how I would eat enough to get to 111 kilos, but I could certainly get well up there, like well and truly much bigger than what I am if I continue to eat things that my body does not do what they should with. And carbohydrates is most certainly one of those. And snacking. So after the initial surgery wears off, after that 12 to 18 months, and you're snacking again, if you snack on things that are sugar-based and carbohydrate, like you can eat, they're called slider foods because they just kind of slide through your stomach. So chips and crackers and, you know, the things that you want to munch on when you want to snack. If you constantly eat those, you will put weight on again because at the most basic level, weight is tied to calories, and the only way to lose weight is to be in a calorie deficit. The only way to maintain weight is to, you know, be at a calorie intake that is specific to your body and you don't put on any weight. But those snacky foods, and for me carbohydrates, they're high in calories. So if they're all you're eating, you will put weight on again. It is a definite. That's what's just going to happen regardless of if you had the surgery or not. So it's really important to remember surgery does not change the way your body's relationship with food. Your body's relationship with food is exactly as it always has been. You're just reducing the amount of food you're putting in, but you can certainly push your stomach out to accept those foods again and put weight back on. So it's really important to keep that in mind. This is not a quick fix or a fix all. Also, how you deal with big life changes and things that happen in your life that come up can have an impact on your weight. So I had an issue around my body going through major changes. So I'm 43, I'll be 44 in February, and I am most certainly in what is now termed perimenopause. Now, growing up, I don't ever remember anyone using the term perimenopause. From what I understand, from what my mother would tell me, that just didn't exist. Doctors would just say, suck it up, you'll get to menopause at some point. Everyone's too happy to talk about pregnancy, everyone's happy to talk about menopause, but perimenopause wasn't a thing. It is now recognized that women's bodies change before they go through actual menopause. And I had this whole meltdown at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, where my body was no longer doing what it had done for all of its adult life. It was all over the place. I could not get it under control. I was not coping in terms of these changes that were happening that I didn't understand, and I was trying to do research, and it was just just a shambles. So I was all over the place, and my body was going through these changes, and it was like I had PMS constantly, and all I wanted to do was eat, because my body was just not what the cycle just didn't exist anymore. So I was snacking constantly because my body was telling me that I was in that phase, but I couldn't get out of that phase because I was perimenopause. My body didn't know what it was doing. So I snacked constantly. I ate all the wrong things because that's what my body wanted. Well, that's what I thought my body wanted, because I was just stuck. So I went back up to 80 kilos at that point. And I was so depressed because I'd done all this work to lose weight, and I got down to 63 kilos at that point. That was the lowest I'd been. I'm smaller than that now, obviously, but I'd gotten down to 63 kilos, and then I'd bounced back to 80. And I was like, what is happening? And I knew what was happening because I was eating, but I couldn't stop myself eating because my body wasn't like on any kind of cycle anymore. And I was just, and then because I put weight on, I was depressed. Like, it was just a vicious cycle. So those kinds of things will still impact your weight because your body is being programmed to deal with these big things in a certain way. My body was, let's snack at this time of the month, but this time of the month was lasting, at that point, 9 months straight, and I wasn't coping. If you're somebody who has always used food in emotional situations and suddenly you suffer maybe a horrible family death, then you'll probably still revert to that. So it's important to note that these things will still impact on your weight and can push your weight back up despite the fact that you have 80% less stomach. It will still happen. Now, I then went and found good doctors, and we've done a lot of work around getting me into some kind of cycle and trying to help everything that I've been going through, and I'm still going through that now. But we did a lot of that work at the beginning of the year to just try to get something in place that I wasn't in the same situation constantly and all over the shop, and my body didn't know what was happening, and that helped. So once I fixed that problem, then I could fix my weight problem. So you have to really deal with the underlying issues first, and sometimes that will require you accessing other professionals like a psychologist to talk through what's going through your head at that point. And just unloading onto another person can be so beneficial. So that's what I use my psychologist for. I just go in and go blah, 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 blah for an hour, and then I feel better and I leave. And that's so much better for me than unloading onto someone I love, because they shouldn't have to carry around all my problems, but I'm paying this person and I just sit here and I'm not even looking for strategies. I just want to unload onto somebody. So psychologists can be great for that because they just take some of the noise out of your head. But if you have an underlying medical issue or something going on with your body, if you don't deal with that, then it can absolutely have an impact on your weight as well. So suggestions. So I made many mistakes when I started this whole journey and had surgery, and I will now impart my wisdom onto you. So the first mistake I made was I kind of abandoned my program early. So when I chose my bariatric surgeon who did my surgery, it was a 3-year program with him. And he has a GP that is specific to bariatric surgery within his practice. So there's a surgeon and then a general practitioner doctor, and they both specialize in bariatric surgery. So it's a 3-year program. You have the surgery and then they continue to see you constantly for 3 full years, and that's all included in the cost of the surgery. So I got 18 months in and I was doing really well, and I just stopped going to my appointments. That was really stupid. I needed to continue to see them because at that point, nothing had gone wrong. I was still moving along nicely. I hadn't hit the bounce. I hadn't hit any life pitfalls that were going to cause issues. Had I still been seeing them when everything started to happen with my body and I started to gain weight, it would have been much easier and quicker for me to bounce back from the underlying issues with my weight had I not gotten out of hand as much as I did. And the reason I got out of hand was because I had nobody that I was accountable to on the other side. So that was my first big mistake. If you have this surgery and your surgeon has a program in place that lasts a certain amount of time, continue to go to your appointments. Even if you get to the point where you've put on some weight and you're embarrassed by that, go to the doctor anyway, because they will intervene early. They will look at all the other issues that are happening in your life and go, right, we need to deal with that because that's having an impact on this. Go to the doctors. Continue to see your surgeons. So important. The other thing I stopped doing really early, which was stupid, was I stopped taking my vitamins. So they tell you before you have surgery that you're going to be on vitamins for the rest of your life. And I was like, yep, cool, no worries, that's fine. When I first came out of surgery, I was on a cocktail of vitamins and pills for all different kinds of things. And the iron ones especially made me feel really, really sick. And I'm like, I don't need this anymore. I'm fine. I don't need to take my vitamins anymore. It's just stupid and they make me feel ill and I don't want to take them anymore. What I should have done if I was still going to my doctor and I said that to them, they would have said, well, let's change brands. Let's try a different cocktail. Let's get you on what you need. So I just stopped taking my vitamins. When I went back to my doctors, when I was sorting out all the issues of my body and I'd put on all this weight, the first thing they did was run a blood test on me. And my results were not good. So I was iron deficient, I was vitamin D deficient, I was magnesium deficient, I was deficient in a whole range of areas that I should not have been deficient in. So that was a real wake-up call for me that I needed to continue to take my vitamins. So I am now back on all my vitamins. And for anyone who is interested, this is not sponsored, I don't have links for you, but I'll tell you what I take. So first and foremost, I was iron deficient, and a few other bits and pieces. So the first thing they did was suggest a multivitamin to me. So I just got BM caps. They're a multivitamin. It's one a day. So this is just from BN Healthy. And these haven't made me sick at all. And my iron has now bounced. So I am completely normal with my iron. They also said that I was magnesium deficient. So I just take 2 gummies a day. These are just from Nature's Way. And these are great to reduce muscle cramps, tension and stiffness, which is great because I'm doing a lot of exercise now, which I will get to. So I take 2 of these a day and my magnesium is now normal. Most importantly, for you women out there, this is so important. If you're a woman, and even if I don't care if you're going through surgery or not, or weight loss or not, this is an important message for you. Vitamin D is critical to you. So often, especially Australian women, lots of women are vitamin D deficient across the world. Australian women should have a decent amount of vitamin D in their system because we live in a very sunny country. So we should be getting enough sunshine to produce enough vitamin D in our bodies. And as young women, we most probably do because we're out in the sunshine and our bodies are doing what they should be doing. As we get older, so late 30s and onwards, please pay attention to your vitamin D levels. Have your doctor check your vitamin D levels. They are so important because we're told to cover up out in the sun. We're told not to get too much sun. We wear sunscreen, hats, sunglasses. These are all really important, especially in Australia. And the sun is not enough for us anymore. And vitamin D is critical to make sure that you don't get osteoporosis. So it is drilled into us that we need calcium. Very important. Yes, we need calcium because calcium is going to stop us from getting osteoporosis when we get older, which is brittle bones. That's great, but I don't care if you're drinking 17 liters of milk a day. Without vitamin D, the calcium is not getting where it needs to be. Vitamin D is the train that gets the calcium to your bones. Without vitamin D, that calcium is not getting to the bones, which means you're probably still going to get osteoporosis later in life. And osteoporosis, brittle bones, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be breaking a hip. I don't want to be old before my time. I don't want to be worried about tripping over the dog and being in hospital for months on end. So important. Please, I am begging all of you women out there to go and get your vitamin D levels checked and make sure you have enough vitamin D in your system to get your calcium to where it needs to be. So you want to make sure your vitamin D is where it needs to be, your calcium's where it needs to be, and we don't want osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is bad, okay? And then if you get other things later on in life, like say you fall victim to cancer, which is horrible, and you have osteoporosis, it changes the whole way they deal with that because you've already got brittle bones. If you have to go through radiation or chemotherapy, it's all very problematic. So please, please get those things checked, and please make sure your vitamin D is where it needs to be. Sorry, little public service announcement, but it's something I'm really passionate about because osteoporosis is not a nice thing. I don't have it, but I most certainly have experience with my family of that, and I don't want anyone to have to. I don't ever want to see anyone get it because, you know, you don't want to be old before your time. Right? We want to be young in our old age. So I was very vitamin D deficient, super vitamin D deficient. So I am now on these. These are also from BN Healthy, and these are calcium and vitamin D choc balls. So I think the recommended dosage is only one. Oh no, take no more than 2. So you can take 1 a day. I was so deficient. I take 2 of these a day. So every single day I have 2 of these, and these are the best things ever. So they're chocolate balls. They're just like little dark chocolate balls, and they're like, it's not a biscuit. It's really hard to explain. I guess it doesn't taste like malt, but it's a bit like a malt ball inside. And I have 2 of these every night when my kids go to bed, and that's my little treat for the day. So I have my 2 little chocolates, and I am happy as. But they give me all the vitamin D and calcium I need, and my vitamin D and calcium levels are now perfect. So please go and have those things checked, and I highly recommend these for anyone who has a bit of a sweet tooth. These are awesome. So 2 little choc balls every day, and you get your vitamin D and your calcium. Not sponsored, just what I love. My next suggestion is find an exercise you love. God, do I hate exercise. Hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it. I have never found anything that I have loved. I have had things that I've become a little bit obsessed with, but I have hated doing them but felt good about the result that I got. So spin classes, body pump classes, running on a treadmill, they were things that I hated doing, but I really liked the results that they gave. So I became a little obsessive about them, not because I enjoyed doing them, but because I enjoyed the results of them. But at the end of the day, it was still a chore. Oh God, I've got to go run 10 kilometers. Oh, 45 minutes of a spin class. I'm going to hate every second of it, but I'll finish up and go, oh, well, that was really good. But there was no real joy in it. I bought a Peloton because I thought, why not? I will do cycle classes from home. Used it twice, and then I sold it. Hated exercise. I have discovered reformer Pilates, and I am obsessed. I love going. I live to go. I have more grippy socks than anybody would ever need in their life, and more Lululemon activewear than any person should have, because I love going to reformer Pilates so much. So I feel like I have finally found something that I genuinely enjoy and love. But it has taken me 43 years. And I will tell you right now that I have become a little bit like those people who stop you at the train station and go, can I tell you about the Word of God? Can I tell you about how good Reformer Pilates is? And I'm trying very hard not to be one of those people where I walk around all the time going, I love Reformer Pilates. Let me tell you about Reformer. Have you tried Reformer Pilates? Everybody should do Reformer Pilates. I am trying hard not to be that person, but I do find myself slipping into it every now and again because I love it so much. That doesn't mean everybody's going to love it. I'm not telling you to go find Reformer Pilates. I am telling you that you need to find something that you genuinely enjoy, because it is the only way to make sure that you exercise. I did no exercise through the front half of this surgery. None. I was dropping weight. Why did I need to exercise? And they all told me, surgeon, doctor, everyone, you still need to find exercise, weight-bearing exercise. And I was like, I don't know. I'm good. I don't need to do it. You know what? I really needed to do it because you're going to hit a plateau. and then things are going to happen, and then you're going to put a little bit of weight on. And if you actually exercised and built some muscle, then it wouldn't be as bad and you would be able to bounce back from that. There is also something to be said for core strength, especially as we get older. My mother will tell you that the thing she misses most in this life is being able to get up off the floor without having to wedge herself between 15 things to bear her weight to stand up. Like, she watches me get up off the floor without having to hold on to anything, and she says that causes me jealousy, because that's important as you get older. Being able to have some core strength to do basic things like get up off the floor, or get down and then back up again, is really important. So core strength is important for that. Now, people will say that my Reformer Pilates, and I'm at 4 classes a week now. So I started with 1, I quickly went to 2, then I wanted to add a 3rd, and I have just in the last 3 weeks added a 4th class, and that's an advanced class. So I've moved quite quickly because I enjoy it so much. So I'm now doing 1 advanced class per week plus some intermediate classes in there as well. So it's really important to build core strength, and people will say it's not enough to just do Reformer Pilates, that I should also be doing cardio once a week and I should also be doing heavy weights. I think that if you genuinely enjoy something and you're going to show up for it, and I am most certainly building muscle and strength. I have abdominal muscles I have never had in my life. I can feel the muscle that I have. I feel like if that's what I can do and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm actually going to show up and put the effort in, then that's enough. Yes, if I had all the time in the world, should I be doing those other things? Probably. Will I enjoy them? No. Will I be regular with them? No chance. Am I going to want to give them up or hate them at some point? Absolutely. For now, Reformer Pilates, I'm like up, I'm gone. 6 a.m, I'm out the door, I don't care. And I am not a morning person, but I am there because I love it so much. So there needs to be this, trade-off between these are all the things everybody says I should do. I'm going to do this and really commit to it and actually show up for it because I love it. And that's going to be enough because it's way more than I was doing before. And if I do all those other things that you tell me, I'm going to hate every minute of it because I'm trying to fit it into an already busy schedule. I don't get any joy out of it. I'm going to resent the hell out of it. So I'm just going to end up not doing it. But this I love. This is what I do. So there needs to be this balance as well sometimes. And for now, Reformer Pilates is very much muscle building, and there is weight bearing exercises in it, and it is building all those muscles that I need and core strength. So I feel like I am doing more than enough, and my doctors and my surgeon are very happy with that. More than happy that that's all I'm doing. They're not telling me I should do more, but the internet tells me that Reformer Pilates is not enough, and that's crap. For now, I am doing really well. So I say find something you love and stick with it, and then block out all the white noise around you about what you should be doing, because everybody's got an opinion. Don't we love it? My next suggestion is don't get comfortable with your weight loss. You've got to do the mental health work. So don't get comfortable with the, oh, this is really easy. It's always going to be easy. I've fixed all my problems just by having the surgery. Nope. No, you haven't. No. You most certainly haven't. So you've got to do the mental health work constantly. You've got to try and get comfortable with who you are now, but at the same time recognize that that's still going to take work. And how much work might be a whole heap less than what it used to be, but at any minute, the wheels might fall off your life and you will revert back to whatever it is you have always used to cope. In a lot of cases, it's going to be food. It's going to be the wrong food, and you will put weight on, and then you spiral because you're depressed because it hasn't worked anymore. And then you got to get it back. And that's really hard. From somebody who had to get all of that back, it was really hard, but I've done it. But it would have been easier if I'd been doing the mental health work all the way through, and still seeing my doctors the whole way through, and having that support system in place while I was going through my tough time. It wouldn't have been as bad. So yeah, don't get comfortable and think, oh, all my problems are solved. They're not. For right now, you might be okay, but you never know what's coming. And then I've got build strength and muscle, which I've discussed. Like strength and muscle are so important, especially as we get later in life. So yes, if you're someone who's in your early 20s, you should be doing it anyway. But if you are in this mid part of your life, it's so important to have some strength and some muscle, because the body you are building now in your 40s is what's going to see you through your 60s and your 70s. And I don't want to be frail and old and broken in those years. I still want to be traveling and seeing things and, you know, participating in life and being there with my kids as they get older, and hopefully one day grandchildren maybe. Like, I want to be there for that and an active participant in those. And my body now is going to build that. So it's really important to me. And it took me a long time to get to the point where I really nourished my body through strength and muscle. But I'm there now. I've got it. This is important. I understand it finally. It's always been about weight up until now. I feel like my weight is good. And I've now shifted focus and said health, strength, muscle. That's where my focus has got to be. Stop looking at the number. The number does not matter anymore. I need to look at my body composition and make sure it is strong and it is healthy. I've dealt with the weight thing. So if you're there, if you're at your weight, or if you're working towards that still, getting to that weight, once you get there, stop looking at the number. You have to look at your health. You have to look at your strength, and you've got to look at the muscle. That's where you need to be then. I understand it's really hard to do while you're still very focused on the number or the weight or the size of your clothes, but once you get there or you get close, you've got to switch focus. It's got to be about your body composition and making sure you are strong and you are healthy. Okay, so my goals going forward. So now that I have essentially hit goal for all intents and purposes, would I like to be a little bit smaller? Sure, but that's a numbers thing. Would I like to see 50 something on the scale? Yeah, but it's a number thing. It doesn't matter. For me, my goals include building more strength. So I want to get better at what I do in Reformer Pilates. I want to be like, you know, on balanced up here with him, my arms up here and my legs there. Like, I want to be able to do all of those moves, and to do those I've got to build more strength and more muscle. So that's where my goals are at the moment, and to get better at that, which will automatically mean that I am building more muscle and more strength. So that's one of my goals. I want to be far less focused on the number, like I keep saying, and I feel like I'm getting to that point. I rarely weigh myself anymore. I do still look at my clothes and what size I'm wearing my clothes, but I am trying desperately to focus less on the number on the scale, because really at the end of the day, if I build more muscle, that number might change, but it's about my body shape. Is my body shape strong and still, you know, for all intents and purposes, thin? And if it is, then it really doesn't matter what the number is. It is just a number. It's like the number on your clothes. Some people get disappointed if they go up a size, but you need to remember that in Australia, shape is a really big thing. Like, I am an hourglass. For a little while there, as I was dropping weight this time around from the 80 kilos, I became a triangle because I lost weight up here really quickly, but down there slower. So I did become a triangle for a little while, but now I am absolutely an hourglass. My shoulders are exactly the same measurement as my hips, and my waist is 20 centimeters smaller than that. So I am absolutely an hourglass. But not all clothes are cut the same. So a straight pair, like a straight pair of jeans for me, I might have to size up in them because my backside is bigger and I'm not straight up and down. So don't look at the size of clothes, look at the fit of the clothing. Who cares what number is on it? The only person who sees the number on your clothes is you. That is it. You are the only person looking at the number. So it doesn't matter if it's a 12, it doesn't matter if it's a 16, it doesn't matter if it's an 8. Nobody knows except for you. So who cares? My other goal is to react faster when my body and life changes and compensate for it. So if, you know, I am in perimenopause, I'm going to go through menopause. That's next. Yay. That's next. And I don't know what my body's going to do at that point. So I need to be prepared to pivot and react as my body needs me to. So I am trying to get better with that, staying on top of it. Now, I am finished with my doctor's in 6 weeks, and that'll be my last appointment. I'm going through a body scan at that point to look at muscle versus fat, blah, blah, blah. I never had that done before, so that'll be interesting. But I have already said to the GP who works there, not the surgeon, just the GP, I want to continue to see you. And she said, that's fine. I just pay for it at that point. And I feel like that's really important. Now, I have a very, very good family general practitioner, doctor, that my whole family see, and I love and adore her, and she is wholly supportive of my weight loss and staying on top of that. But I still feel like she has to be across so many things, and this doctor that I see just for my weight loss and the surgery, that's all she's got to be across. So I'm going to continue to pay to see just her, because I feel like I'm more accountable to her than I am to my family doctor. But I need to be prepared that things might not always go the way they are right now. Maybe I do myself an injury and I can't go to Pilates anymore. Maybe, I don't know what's going to happen, but I need my body in a good state now, and I need my brain to be ready to react to things that come up and not just deal with them with food or suddenly put on a whole heap of weight. It's really creating this environment where you can react in a better time frame, and I didn't do that till now. So that's one of my goals, to get myself to the point where I react better to those life changes when they come up. My goal is to continue to take my vitamins, which I've been doing consistently for the last 5 months. And in addition to this, I also take electrolytes every day. So I like Liquid IV. It's American, but the flavors are way better than Hydrolyte, which we have in Australia, which I hate. But I have Liquid IV that I just get from Chemist Warehouse in a range of flavors, and I'm a Stanley Cup girl. Yes, that's me. Me and my Lululemon and my Crippy socks and my Stanley Cup. My husband makes fun of me. I am that mum. But I have the 40-ounce Stanley Cup, and I just dump one of them, one of the Liquid IVs into it every day. And because post-surgery water, even now, is very heavy for me. I struggle with my water intake because it's so heavy. It sits so heavy in my stomach, so I just can't get enough water in. But if I have the electrolytes every day with the Liquid IV, then I am hydrated enough. So I've found that super beneficial. So my goal is continue to make sure I take my electrolytes every day and all my vitamins. I feel like that's been so helpful to me. And a lot of people comment on how good my skin is. They're like, oh, what do you do for your skin? Yes, I have a good skincare routine. And I will always say, to a certain point, I have excellent genetics where that is concerned. My mother is in her 70s, but most certainly doesn't look it. She's got great skin, so it is genetic to a certain point, but it's also hydration, and that it means putting enough hydration in your skin, but most certainly putting enough hydration in your body. So the more hydrated you are, the better your skin looks, and that's really important. And any model that is ever interviewed will tell you that they drink a lot of water because it's good for their skin. So just keep that in mind as well. Hydration is really important for overall health, but also it has a range of other benefits as well. So, and my final goal is my skin removal surgery. So I will be perfectly honest. So I had they call it a mummy makeover just before my daughter turned 1, because I had worked really hard to drop weight. I was counting macros at the time. I was on a keto diet, and I was at the gym once or twice a day. It was a lot of work, and I got down to 73 kilos at that point, and that was the smallest I'd been at that point, and I'm clearly 13 kilos smaller than that now. But when I got to that point, because I had had my daughter less than a year prior to that, I went and saw a plastic surgeon, and I had what was called a mummy makeover. So I had a tummy tuck, and I had my breasts lifted, augmented, and actually reduced as well. And because it was within a year of having my daughter, Medicare gave me a little bit of money back. Now, the cost of the surgery versus what I got back from Medicare gave me back a very tiny proportion of it, but it was more than what I would have got had she been more than a year older. So more than a year old. So I took that. And even when I put a lot of weight back on after that, my tummy tuck held. So my skin is still quite good through my torso. But I have on my legs now, especially, I call it curtaining around my thighs. So I get like the skin curtaining. It's not as extreme as you see in some cases where you see like people who got, you know, up to 300, 600 pounds, whatever. You know, is it My 600 Pound Life or whatever, that show? It's not like that, but I see it. I can see the curtaining. I can see the drooping of my backside. I don't like any of it. And I am doing a lot of toning work with the Reformer Pilates, but even I am not stupid enough to think that there is any amount of toning work that I can ever do that's going to fix that. So I'm more than happy to be honest and say that that is something that is on my goal list for next year, that I will have further skin removal surgery. And I think at that point, I will be happy with my body. So I feel like it's important to be honest that this is a thing that happens when you drop a lot of weight. Your skin does not maintain elasticity, especially as you get older. So sometimes you will need some help. And I most certainly have used that before, and I will use it again. And I have no embarrassment whatsoever about it. This is my body. I want to be comfortable in it. If it takes removing excess skin to do that, then I will do it, and then I will feel better about myself. So it's a pitfall, but we deal with it. So that's one of my goals for next year, to have that second surgery done and to finally be in a body that I think I can be proud of. I hope. I feel proud of where I am now, but I still see all my flaws. And I imagine that that's never going anywhere. I will forever, everybody sees their flaws. That's the first thing you see in yourself. And I will still have flaws after that. But I'll stop picking on that one thing that drives me nuts at the moment when I get out of the shower and I look at it and go, ugh. Like, I hate that. Or I can wear a short skirt again because I don't see the curtaining on my thighs. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. I guess the last question that I really wanted to address was surgery versus a GLP medication, and would I have done the surgery had GLP-1 medications been around at that time? So I watch a lot of TikTok and I watch a lot of YouTube, and I have been super interested in the GLP medication space, just from a research standpoint, from somebody who had surgery. I wanted to see what this drug was doing and how it was working for people. And I have to admit, I am an advocate for it. I believe, as somebody who has been ridiculously overweight and has struggled with her weight my entire life, I see how it helps people, and I am supportive of anything that I think will help somebody's journey to get to a better weight and a more healthy life. And it's not as simple as, well, if you just eat less and exercise more. It doesn't work. It's not that simple. And it's a stupid statement that people make. And the only people who make that statement are people who have never suffered or been through the constant yo-yoing of dieting, trying to lose weight. And yeah, anyway, so I am fine with people taking the medication. It is not something that has been readily available in Australia. In Australia, compounded versions of the medication are outlawed. You can't get them. You can only get the brand name. And then it's been a slow burn in Australia with anyone being able to get it. I can see now from TikTok that more Australians seem to be accessing it, which is interesting. And I can see them talking about it, and I've seen podcasters talking about it and doctors talking about it, and you know, there's a book called The Magic Pill. I have done a fair bit of research in that space just out of interest as somebody who has come out of gastric sleeve, which is really invasive and really drastic, and how this compares to that. Would I have done the surgery if I had had access to a GLP medication at the time? It's a really interesting question, because I don't know. I feel like the surgery was important for me as this is it. That you have hit rock bottom. You have to do something drastic. If you want to see your children get old, this is it. And I feel like the surgery really gave me that. Whereas I feel like if I was taking nothing but medication and hadn't had the surgery, that I can just stop taking the medication and get fat again. Or I can fall into financial disarray and not be able to afford the medication anymore, and I'll put weight on. I would have felt like there was always something just hanging over my head because I am injecting once a week or whatever it is. I think one of them's once a day. I don't know. And I would have always felt like at any minute this could go away. Whereas with the surgery, it was really like a nail in the coffin. Like it was like final, full stop. This, you've got 80% of your stomach is gone. It's not there anymore. So yeah, I feel like the surgery was important mentally to get to a place where you were like, yeah, I'm committed to this. I'm doing this. This is it. But I don't take away from anybody who wants to use the medication. If that's your path, I support you in that path. If that's what you need to do for your health, then I think that's important. There's a lot of research out there now, and yes, there's not a lot of long-term research, like people haven't been on this for 20 years, but from all the benefits that we're seeing from it, if that's the route that you go, then I most certainly support you in that. But if you want to do the surgery, I support you in that as well. I really feel like it's a really personal choice, and it's got to be based around how you mentally perceive this journey and getting to what you want to be and being healthy, because that's got to be the goal. It can't be the number on the scale or the size on your clothing. It has to be about being healthy. And if you're looking at the other things, then it's vanity, and it can't be about vanity, because vanity goes away. Like, you won't always be young and pretty, and yes, you can pay to maintain those things, but let's face it, people who continue to do a lot of surgery as they get very old look strange. Like the people who are still looking 30 in their 70s because they've had so much work done, you're like, it's a little strange. So I think you've really got to focus on the health and not on the vanity of it all. I think do what's best for you always, but focus on your health and not on a number, because the numbers, like, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. It's your health that's going to see you through the later years in your life, and that's the most important thing. So I hope this has been really helpful for people, and I hope that if you are somewhere on a weight loss journey, or even if you're just interested in what's going on in my life, that you've found it somewhat interesting. If you've got any questions at all, I invite you all to ask me in the comments or contact me over on Instagram via DM. I am more than happy to talk to anybody about my journey. I'm really quite transparent about it, and I'm happy to be transparent about it, because the more information I can provide, the easier it might make it on someone else. If you've liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button down below. It means a lot to a content creator when you hit that subscribe button. Please also hit a little bell notification so you know when I upload videos, which is usually twice a week. I'll also throw up my Instagram handle for you so you can follow me over there. I put lots up in real time, lots around my collection and my day-to-day life, so please come follow me over there. I hope wherever you are in the world today, you are having a fabulous day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.